Welcome to Teis Talks, where we discuss all things faith and family. And, we have the cutest little guest with us today.
That's right.
That's right. And you might hear her.
Her name is Indy, and she's 9 months old?
Six
months
today.
old.
Yep.
She is beautiful. We have with us Greg and Bekah Freyer, and they are missionaries to New Zealand. And we're excited about them being here. We're going to be talking about working through trials as a young couple in ministry. I think it'll be a really encouraging topic.
Yeah, and what's special about having Greg and Bekah here is that Bekah actually grew up in this ministry. Well, the school here. Here in Las Vegas, she grew up. Her dad is a pastor of Gateway Baptist Church.
And that's the church that Liberty Baptist Church started out of 48 years ago.
Isn't that incredible? I love the full circle right there. And so Bekah is here. She graduated from Liberty Baptist Academy. But let's start out.
Went to West Coast Baptist College, met Greg, and that was the luckiest day of his life.
Yes.
What
Right.
I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's right.
And or blessed day.
Yes.
And so they're with us.
So let's start with your story. How did God lead you into ministry? And what did the early days look like as young married couples stepping into that calling?
Yeah, so when I was 12 years old and I got saved, I was raised in a Catholic church or Catholic background, and I got saved when I was 12. And then it was the following year at a teen camp that I surrendered to full-time ministry. I didn't really know what that meant or what that looked like moving forward, but went off to Bible college at West Coast and met Bekah. And it was actually during that time where the Lord used a roommate to kind of begin the process and kind of the calling to New Zealand. And through circumstances and prayer and just seeking the Lord, he confirmed that calling in April of my freshman year, second semester. And so I had known I was going to New Zealand for the next, 3 years or so. And then when I met Bekah, I'd already graduated, and my best friend was still at Bible college there at West Coast. And I said, "Listen, I'm single now. That's a death sentence if you graduate single from Bible college." And I said, send me a list of 5 single girls.
I was dead for about 4 years.
So I said, send me a list of 5 single girls. And she was on that list. And so I messaged her.
I was not number one.
No, to my shame. I told her that after we were married, but so.
You told her that after you were married?
Yeah, 'cause it's too late at that point.
There are some
Right.
things
It
you
was-
keep to yourself for the rest of your life.
I know. I needed counseling, I guess. But
Okay,
so
that's
we got
really cute, though. I didn't know that story about you guys. I love it.
so we got married, and then through Bekah, her major was secretarial, and so there was a ministry that my best friend was working at, and so he went to that pastor, and they were looking for a secretary, and kind of through him talking to the pastor there, that got us connected to the church that we went to right after marriage, and so that kind of started it, and that was really where it all began for me. And then Bekah's calling kind of started. You can explain that, I guess.
Yeah, I took a missions trip after my freshman year of Bible college, and I put missions trip in quotes because I liked the guy, I wanted to go see him kind of thing. But God used it to open my eyes to needs outside of America, spiritual needs, not only spiritual, but physical needs of people outside of America. And I knew after that, God wanted me to do something with missions. So from that point on, I knew I wasn't dating anybody. That didn't work out, obviously, with that guy, but I wanted to be involved with missions, so I wasn't going to date anybody not missions-minded. So then when Greg messaged me on Facebook, I saw missions at West Coast Baptist College. I was like, okay, this could work.
Wow, I love that.
And it did. Yeah.
Did
Praise
it
God
work
for that.
out?
Yeah.
So number 1, 2, 3, 4 didn't work, and
Well, just one.
Just
one didn't
Oh,
work.
she was number 2.
Yeah, she was 2.
Okay,
yeah,
but
Bekah was 2.
she's number 1 now.
That's right. Yeah,
All right.
forever and always. Love you, babe.
She's getting a little tense here. Indy is like, wait a second, Mom wasn't number 1?
So-
I love this. So being newly married and in ministry at the same time, that really can come with unexpected pressures. What were some of the early challenges that you guys faced as a couple?
Yeah. So for me, I would say so. I wasn't quite paid staff at this church. So she would go to work. She was paid. So pastor was her boss, but I was working also a full-time job. Plus I had a Sunday school class and a bunch of different other responsibilities. So just managing all of that was a challenge. And really it felt like for us, we were just trying to know each other, because we were long distance during the dating process. So, when we got married, we went on our honeymoon, and a week later we were moving across country from
Wow.
Vegas out to there. And so it was just like we were still learning each other.
Where were you located?
So I was in Ohio,
Okay.
and then she was obviously at Bible College in California. Then we got married here in Vegas, and then went on our honeymoon, and then went out east where the certain ministry was at. But
We went to your wedding.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes.
were at your
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah.
I
Mark.
remember.
Yeah.
Hope
Yeah.
was in my
It was
wedding.
so
Yes.
beautiful.
Okay, yeah, all
Yep,
right. Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
So just I think you got the excitement, of course, of ministry, and like, wow, we got this. This guy's gonna train me. He's gonna be our sending church. For us to go to New Zealand. So there's excitement behind that. But then it's like, okay, well, now I have this, this life, that I'm with her that we don't really know each other yet. I mean,
Right.
we do, but we don't, and
Oh, yeah, especially when you're dating long distance. And
right.
it's like, who is this person?
Yeah.
The day after you marry them.
That's right,
Who
that's right.
are you?
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that's it.
That's what my wife says to me. We've been married only 48 years.
I think up
Who
to our
are
wedding,
you?
I think the longest we spent time together was it 14 or 17 days.
Yeah, it was like 2
Wow.
weeks.
Yeah, was
Yeah.
the most we'd been together. And so you can only imagine just the difference,
Yes.
once you're married now. And so
Right.
that challenge became real, like that,
Yeah.
literally overnight.
Oh,
So just learning that and then knowing there's responsibilities at this church, it became overwhelming at
Yeah.
times, for sure. And so that challenge, I think, weighed very heavily on us.
So oftentimes people don't realize that ministry isn't just spiritually demanding; it's emotionally and relationally stretching too. I often tell the story of couples getting. I heard a lady say one day that when she got married, she wanted the ideal, but she got an ordeal. Now she wants a new deal. So, people think of it think, hey, I think I know what marriage is all about, and then you get married, and so that just affects you. So how did the early trials affect your marriage and your faith?
Yeah. I think because it was so new to us, I think in some ways it affected us negatively. We didn't know how to handle it at first. It was just, she's on staff and I'm kind of this face of the church. You can't ask for help. You can't do that. That's for the messed up couple, and so what it caused us to do, I think, is really, one, do a scan of our lives, but then also we had to focus it. We had to work it out ourselves. It wasn't mom and dad anymore. We had to take this new life and come together with Christ in the middle of it and work it out together. It wasn't always perfect. It wasn't always probably even the results that we wanted after we'd have a talk, but we learned right away, if this is going to work not only through this specific trial, but the rest of our lives, we have to come together with the Lord and ask Him to get us through it, because in ourselves, our flesh, we can't.
Yeah,
So-
that's the absolute truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't. I really think a lot of times people don't understand the extra trials that you experience in ministry. Usually because there's a lack of money. There's a lack of. I remember being like, man, we could be in the military and be making first year be making 5 times the amount we're making right now.
Yeah.
And my military friends would be like, we have no money, and you're like, well, you can at least afford air conditioning. You know?
Yeah.
We're thinking diapers. Do we want ground beef or diapers? And then we'd be like, let's get diapers because we're go steal mom and dad's ground
That's
beef.
right. Yeah.
But that's a huge extra
real.
pressure.
You're still
depending
doing
on-
that. You're
Yeah, we
still-
still steal it. We're good now, but we still steal their stuff.
I remember one time asking my friend, he was the guy on staff there, and I came up to him and I said, listen, can you just give me $100? I literally have nothing in my Wells Fargo account.
Wow.
And it was like, this is not what I signed up for, and this is
So
is this
humbling.
right? Am I out of God's will? I knew I wasn't, but maybe
Yeah.
I am in this mental battle you're playing.
Yeah.
But it's when you got to seek the face of God together, because now it is together. It's
Yep.
not just you anymore.
I
Yeah.
took my son Matthew on a roller coaster at Disneyland called Space Mountain when he was about 5 years old, because he'd been begging me to take him on this ride, and I mean begging me for months. And he finally was tall enough to ride the ride. I took him on the ride, and went through the whole thing. Everybody's excited, screaming and hollering and yelling. I mean, we were in the front thing. It was with the first people on the ride that day, and we went all the way through. It got off the ride. It came to the end of the ride, and I looked over at him. Everybody was screaming and hollering and having a great time, except nothing was coming from him. And when we stopped, the thing stopped, the handbars went up, and I looked over at him and I said, son, how did you like Space Mountain? He looked up at me like angrily, looked up at me and said, I would never take my child on a ride like that. I tell people, I think that a lot of people get married and think, what in the world kind of ride has God put me on?
Yeah, for sure.
So-
Yeah, and it is. I mean, and if you start to believe that stuff, I think it adds to those pressures like we're talking about. If we start to believe that, oh, you messed up, or, she's not the right one, or he's not the right one. No. Go back to when before all this stuff started.
Yeah.
Don't doubt, in the night what God gave you in the light.
Yeah.
And
Good
it's a
quote,
huge
yeah.
help.
Yeah. And that's so good, because those are just lies from the enemy.
That's
like,
it,
oh,
yeah.
that, maybe I married the wrong person.
Yeah.
Well, God's not going to put in your heart, oh, you married the wrong person. That's not a spiritual thought from God. It's a demonic
thought.
spiritual
That is it,
thought.
yeah.
Yeah. So ministry really what you said about, you're like sitting there thinking, oh, we're having these problems, we can't go to anybody. That's a lot of time an isolating feeling that people in ministry feel that they have, like, oh, we can't get help because we're supposed to be the perfect ones. We're supposed to look like we have it all together. And I think that's especially a false thing that our enemy wants us to believe, especially as young couples. How did you find community or mentorship during times of struggle, and what do you wish you had done differently? Maybe you're like, well, we didn't go and seek counsel, and we wish we did, or maybe you did seek counsel. What would you say that happened with you guys?
Yeah. So we did not seek counsel. Looking back on it, I wish we would have. But I think another mistake I did is I would go to friends my age who are in the same season of life as me, who don't know anything more or less than I do, and I went to them for advice. And it's just, in some ways, I wanted to go to them to almost just to hear what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And that just wasn't wise, looking back on that.
Yeah.
The community that we did find, I would say for me personally, there were some pastors that I had met really that just had come through Bible college, and I listened to their preaching. I admit sometimes I talk to my parents, I wouldn't go into too much detail.
Yeah.
But just try to get, I guess, word from the wise
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
what I did. But that was me. Becca probably.
I think we just thought we were in ministry, so how bad would it look if we needed counsel?
Yeah.
So silly.
Yeah.
Looking back, that was not the right decision for our marriage, for just
Yeah.
our walk with God, but also I'll put a plug in for encouragement from women who've been there, because so many times you feel alone, or like you're the only one going through what you're going through, and it's really not the case. And sometimes it feels like you have it so hard.
Yeah.
But when I read those devotionals, I realize, wow, so many people have it way worse than I do.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging when you know other people are going through things.
Yeah. And seeing how they walked with
Yeah.
God through it all.
Right.
It's not just like, and I went through this and my life is horrible.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's like,
No, they
look,
came
God
out.
walked with
Yeah.
me through this. You know what you said about not seeking counsel. My brother Josh, a couple years ago, he tells this story. His wife, Heather. Now, Josh and Heather have been in ministry over 2 decades together, started a church, and they've done counseling hundreds of times, right? Probably thousands of times with
Yeah.
people. And he has a story where a couple of years ago, Heather was like, I think we need to go get some marriage counseling. And Josh was like, what? And she's like, yeah, we can go to, there's a great counseling center that we send people to after we've done counseling with them. And he said, no, we are the people that do the counseling. We're not going to go and send people to counseling, or we're not going to go and get counseling. And he said, I was really against it, like hard-nosed against it. And then I finally, like, the Lord spoke to my heart. It was like, this is what you guys need for your marriage. He says he gets there and they go and they sit in the waiting room, and sitting across from him is a church member. The church member said, what are you doing here, Pastor? And he's like, same thing you're doing here. We need help. And he said, doing the counseling was with Christian counselors that were just biblically based. He said it was such a huge help. You go in and it's humbling because you think, well, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is, like you said, that's for the messed up ones.
Yeah.
And when we realize we are all the messed up ones, we can all encourage each other and help walk through, but we're all messed up.
Yeah.
And so it's such a beautiful example. But this was, here they are in their 40s and okay, we're going to need to go get counseling. And I just think what a beautiful example to share, because I totally get it. You're young and in ministry. You've been doing this. I mean, you're a pastor's daughter. You lived in ministry all your life.
Yeah.
I have to go and get help for this. And it's very wise. That's what God says. In the multitude of counselors, there's safety.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I love that.
We started off back in 1977, and the first 2 years we had nobody, but God sent a Christian counselor by our church, and began and really helped me. Actually, I'm a driven person. I'm very, 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 very. I'm a workaholic by nature, and I did not realize I was driving my wife nuts. And my friend, my counselor, he's a friend of mine today, he explained to me, just because he was willing to talk to us, he looked at me one day and he said to me, David, you are the most unteachable man I've ever met in my life. And
Wow.
But he said, I love you, and we're going to help you. And I said, I remember going back to my wife saying, you know what he said? He said, I'm the most unteachable man he's ever met in my life. And there was another guy with him. His name was Vernon. Vernon said, that's exactly right. And they were in agreement that I was very unteachable. And so I went back to my wife and I said, you know what they said to me? And she just didn't say a thing because she was in total agreement.
She was rejoicing in her heart and thanking God for
somebody
the
told
answer
me.
to prayer.
Yeah, so anyway.
But that's so good, getting that outside perspective from an older Christian man to speak into your life, because that's what was needed.
So how did those early trials shape your perspective on ministry and leadership and on marriage in the long term?
For me, I think it just caused me, or you could say open my eyes, whatever the phrase is, to not be so critical of other pastors, other people in ministry, because
That's good.
they're all, even your greatest mentor is still a sinner, There's an old saying, right? The best man is still a man at best. And that just, the reality is people sin, people struggle, and so you never know what people are going through, whether they're in ministry or not, So show some grace, some grace. And if you're able to help. And if you're able to, see into someone's life, through a certain, opportunity, take the time to invest in them, and help them. So that was for me.
Well, that's great. Bekah, from your side as a wife, I know that she may not be helping you right now. You might have a hard time. She may speak into this, but from your side, as a wife in ministry, what encouragement would you offer to other young women who are just starting this journey?
I just think personally, I sometimes feel alone, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. And just like I said before, knowing you are not alone, and before you get in the position of ministry, find your core 3 ladies, pastors' wives, or just you know who's in your church who actually prays when they say, I'm going to pray for you. Find those people ahead of time and just get them in your corner, because you will need that. You'll need the counsel. You'll need the encouragement. You'll need the prayers.
Boy, that's so good.
Yeah, that's such
so
good
If
advice.
you need that support. I think God established the local church as a support group, but within that local church and within whatever ministry you're involved in.
I think that's so good
having
what
that.
you said, encouraging the young woman to go and reach out to those older women and because I think a lot of times women have been shut down so much by older women, like, trying to reach out and help, and then they get shut down. So they're like, you don't even want to hear my advice or my help, or maybe they don't say it the right way.
Yeah.
There's a lady who I love and adore, and she honestly, socially, the way she says things, it's horrible, but she's normally right. She really is. There's things that you're like, don't post it on Facebook, you're giving your advice on, but she's really honestly right about a lot of things. And I think if you should go find somebody, look, can I just tell you about this? And can you pray with me? This is what's going on. And when you have those older ladies, not just the girlfriends that you're like, yeah, my husband's a jerk too. He doesn't do, and instead of having that, you have somebody you can go and be like, I'm struggling because of this, and then they can speak into your life and be like,
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
I know what that's like. And point out the good things of your spouse and and remind you of the things beforehand.
I think I found people that I like to gossip with. That's one thing I learned young. I liked my ears being tickled rather than somebody telling me what I needed to hear.
And that's the easiest way to go, but it's honestly the hardest in the long run. So, wow, that's so good. What would you say? Oh, it's a hard time for you, isn't it,
has a
Indy?
lot to say.
Yeah, she's going to be a Teis Talk regular. What would you say to a young couple that's listening today who might be in that same hard season, maybe even looking back at you guys and you're saying, wow, 6 years ago I would have said this, feeling like ministry's too much or questioning their calling? What would you say? Here's some advice. This is what I would say to you.
For me, I'm kind of what we just talked about. Find the help. Don't let your pride get in the way. Your little bit of pride is not worth your marriage. It's not worth your ministry. It's not worth your future. And then find and understand that even in your chaos right now, you're still in Christ. That's your identity. He still loves you. He still wants what's best for you. He knows you're going through this. So find peace in that. Find comfort in that, and then walk through it together. Don't quit. Don't give up. God hasn't quit on you.
Yeah.
And He doesn't want you to quit on your marriage. Doesn't want you to quit on your ministry. And just find this together. And I think that would be my advice. Yeah. From the man.
Looking back now, what's like one truth or promise from God's word that sustains you and continues to carry you on today?
Yeah, a good verse that I always kept going back to is Isaiah 55, verse 8. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God was already past our trial. God knew what we were going through. And even when I couldn't see it, in His sovereignty, He knew what was best for us, even in the heartache of it all.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We really appreciate that. The fact is, Satan never stops fighting against your family.
Yeah.
Amen.
Satan never stops fighting against your ministry. Demons will always put wrong thoughts in your mind. That's why it's so important we walk daily with Him, that we're focused on Him and doing what honors Him. Because if we're doing what honors Him, we'll make the right decisions.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you.
So how can our listeners if they would like to get in contact with you, if they'd like to learn more about your ministry, where should they go?
Yeah, so you could go to our Facebook page would probably be the best. It's just Friars New Zealand on Facebook, and you can send us a friend request. Or our email we could do is Christ, like Jesus Christ, the number 2, and then Kiwis. So Christ 2 Kiwis at gmail.com.
Okay,
So,
well, thank you. This has been a wonderful topic. It's been enjoyable to hear the honesty and the reality of what you all lived and experienced, and really, I think it's going to be help to a lot of people. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Teis Talks.
And it's more than a conversation.